on how on the information that will be available.
Thank you. Frederick, would you like to unmute and ask your question, please?
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me, everyone?
Yeah, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mr. Secretary General. My name is Frederick Katonda from Rengo, Masaka area. My question is, Honorable Secretary General, how are we going to expand our party structures? Okay, how are we going to expand our party beyond our current area that we actually occupy politically? When I say that, I mean there are areas where we've got a bigger support, and there are areas where we are still lagging behind. And as it looks, since we much of concentrating in areas where we are very strong. So my question is, how are we expanding to areas that we never performed very well? Because it's a bigger question in a wider view that if you performed well in the central, then how do we expand that support to the western, to the southwestern, like in Kisoro, in Buguri, in Kanu, where we didn't really perform very well? Because if we were to take power as NUP, we've got to expand our support beyond where we are now. And secondly, what are the resources that as a party is putting on table to support the upcoming leaders that are building structures on ground? They are those people that really want change. They are enthusiastic about it. They are stronger. They are willing to grow the party beyond, but the resources are limited. What is the party position on supporting such people to get the party moving? Thank you. That was my questions. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, comrade from Luengo. Yeah, you're still speaking, Juliana, or can I respond?
You can respond, sir.
Please go ahead and respond.
All right. So I thank you so much for your questions. First of all, I want to disagree with you that NUP did not perform well in other places. Those who observed the election actually know that NUP had support across the country, but I think the regime found it a little bit harder. Being smart as they are, they found it a bit harder to do the kind of chaos they did in other parts of the country. And they concentrated in northern Uganda and western Uganda to do the kind of rigging they did. You saw the videos, ticking for people, deploying the military, and in places like Kazo, Chiruhura, and other places, people would come and they would be told that you are only voting for the MP because the president, that one we have already voted. And there are testimonies of people who are saying that. So it's not that we did not perform well, or we did not have the capacity to perform well in other regions, in the Far East. The kind of chaos that was there. So that is the regime, I think, was deliberate to say, because especially the more cameras are there, the political dynamics, people are more alert and more conscious and more active. So the regime decided to do that. And if you want to know that the regime actually has no strength, see what they did in Omoro. We were just in Omoro a few days back, and you saw the kind of rigging they did, most of which was covered on camera. The RDCs moving around with predict ballot papers and all that. And you would expect that if they say they have support in northern Uganda, they did not need to do all that, but they did that because they know that they do not have support. But I also hear you to say, how do we raise a consciousness, the same consciousness, which is, for example, here in Buganda, in Central Region? How can we transfer that everywhere across the country? And what I can say is that, yes, we are doing deliberate efforts. You've seen the Kunga campaign, for example. That Kunga campaign is all across the country. We're having committees at the district level, 15 people, mobilization committees at the constituency level, 15 people, and other structures that we're trying to build right from the grassroots. It's something that we're trying to do. Although I want to say that in a dictatorship, it is not the super magic, because as you know, the regime, you set up structures today, tomorrow they go either intimidating them or trying to buy them off. I saw what happened in Omoro. We had identified local polling agents, and I think 80% of them did not turn up. Some were arrested, others were given money, and others were picked up from polling stations on that very day of voting. So there are all these challenges, but we're doing our best. And I want to say again that this shouldn't be about the Secretariat alone. It should be about all of us. For example, you're calling in from Luengo. What are you doing yourself to make sure that you support the efforts, that you talk to the young people in Luengo to make sure that they are also alert, that sometimes you organize and go to Kanungu, because sometimes we will be short on human resource. and we will be busy. Our attention is on so many things, but I think we need as many volunteers as possible to help with these efforts. And that reminded me of what Comrade Peter Ekakolo asked initially that I didn't respond to about regional offices. NUP is doing its best to establish these regional offices. So far, I'm sure you've been seeing pictures. We have an office in, apart from the central office, we have an office in Barara now. We have an office in Kasese. We have an office in Lango sub-region, that's in Lira. We have an office in Mbale for Bugisu. We have an office in Busia for Bukedi. We have an office in Soroti for Teso. So we're going around, and in the coming days we'll have an office in Arua for West Nile. So our plan is to have offices as coordination points within those regions.
Just a second, Mrs. Julian. Just a second.
It's Juliana.
Yeah.
Yes, what is it? Could you be brief?
Just 1 second, just 1 second.
Please go ahead.
Okay, Honorable Secretary General, like for me who is in Rengo, I'm actually doing much because I've worked with the current NUP leader that is taking us through, and we're establishing groups of 10 members on every village in our constituency, Koto Midwest, Koto South. I'm actually doing the best. And on that submission, what I wanted to make you understand is, yes, during the campaigns, I moved a lot in Sinjiro where I saw the things happening, where Honorable Ramirama was moving around with the trucks of soldiers and were taking away the ballots. I saw them with naked eyes. However, that civic competence we have in Uganda, my question was, how do we really transfer it to the deepest part of the country that everyone gets to understand that it is about them, it is about their change, it is their change, not for Mr. Chagulanyi or any other, it is their change. Actually, that is my major interest on how we get to that deeper area of Uganda, regardless of what is happening. Thank you.
I will request you to get time one of these office, and we have a discussion about this, and maybe pick your thoughts as well, because there are some discussions we definitely cannot have on a platform like. But what we can do so far, let's do using radio stations, social media, and other means of communication. These are our people. But I would invite you to also come and maybe we discuss a little bit. Thank you.
Thank you. One last question, Michael. Make it very, very brief. My Anton needs to come in, and then David has to run. Yeah, be brief, please.
Thank you, Rihanna, and thank you everybody who is listening in here, and everybody who is making submissions here. I am one of the people who, majority of the people, or majority of Ugandans who believe that we won elections, but we won elections, and I believe that Ugandans all over the country are very active in this struggle. My worry or my concern is looking at the current elections in Kayunga and the northern region, in is it Omoro? We believe that NUP won elections in those regions. Now, the question is, what are we going to do for the 2026 elections? Because if we believe that we have support all over the country, if we believe that we win all these elections and the regime continue to rig these elections, how confident are we for the 2026 elections? Thank you.
Well, it's a very good question, but also a question that I would pose to you and to everybody else on this platform. It's a tough question that we keep asking ourselves. You know, it's about the people, and I think what we've been talking about is re-energizing our people under the People Power umbrella, the People Power platform, to say that everybody in Uganda needs to understand that, you know, it is their duty to fight for their country. It is their duty to rise up and defend their rights, and you know, ensure that their vote counts, ensure that their voice matters, etc, etc. I was in Kayunga. I saw what happened. We won the election, and we have the DRFOMS. We won with over 15,000 votes, and the Electoral Commission decided to announce the NRM candidate as winner. I was in Omoro, and in Omoro they changed the approach. They decided that you know, they were going to deploy cars without number plates to move around, delivering printed ballot papers, and of course they arrested over 60 of our polling agents out of 84 polling stations. So that enabled them to do whatever they wanted to do. But I think also we need to understand that, and this is a debate we've been having, the regime really wants us to give up on elections. You can see clearly. They want us to give up on elections. They want to make citizens give up on elections. And maybe they think if we resort to other means, that's their specialty. Then they will know how to deal with us. But I think the people of Uganda should not give up on engaging in these elections. Because for us, when we look at elections, we see them as an opportunity to realize our people. You know, before the elections in 2021, the Honorable Chagulanyi had been blocked from performing, from attending church services, from attending weddings all across the country. He would step here and then he would be blocked and that kind of thing. But the election campaign, as violent as it was, gave us an opportunity to go around the country, mobilizing the people, taking of change, because you never know what will happen. Like I said, a struggle against the dictatorship is continuous. And no one, not even the regime, sometimes not even us ourselves who are fighting on this side, can clearly tell what the spark will be. But so you continue, you know, doing everything that you can do. I think one of our elders related struggle against dictatorship to someone who wakes up looking for money in Kampala. And he said that, you know, you wake up every day, you go to Chukugo, look for money. If you don't get money today, you return home. The following day, you'll be on the same road going to Kampala, to downtown, again to look for money. Eventually, you'll get what you're looking for. So it's a continuous process, a continuous struggle. And we see elections as one of the tactics that you can use. But there are other many tactics that you can use, including protests and other forms of peaceful or non-violent methods.
David, have you got a few more minutes? Just